The municipalities of Istanbul and İzmir have increased proceeds from shared taxes as a result of recent changes in legislation that increased allocations from tax revenues to metropolitan municipalities from 5% to 6%, said Moody's in an assessment report on late April 20. This change is credit positive for both Istanbul and İzmir because a greater share of tax revenues will improve the municipality's financial position, it said in the report entitled Legislative Changes Boost Istanbul's and İzmir's Tax Revenues, a credit positive. According to pre-closing data, Istanbul's shared tax revenues increased by 10.3% to 7.20 billion Turkish liras in 2014 from 6.53 billion liras in 2013, while İzmir's rose 17.9% to 2.10 billion liras from 1.78 billion liras over the same period. These increases raised Istanbul's gross operating balances to 49% of operating revenue in 2014 from 43% in 2013, while İzmir's improved to 42% from 37% over the same period, it said. Because the reform on metropolitan municipalities and corresponding changes in the law on allocations from tax revenues went into effect in April 2014, the legislative changes will take full effect this year. Therefore, we expect shared tax revenues to continue growing and the financial performance of Istanbul and İzmir to remain robust, said Georgi Josifov, Assistant Vice President Analyst at Moody's. Turkish metropolitan municipalities have largely depended on shared tax revenue growth because share taxes comprise, on average, more than 80% of their budgets. Around 81% of Istanbul's operating revenues were derived from shared tax revenues, while in İzmir shared taxes accounted for 86% of operating revenues, according to the report. Both municipalities have had strong financial performance in recent years, which has led to each having comfortable liquidity positions. Their accumulated cash reserves averaged 15% of operating revenue in 2014, creating a solid financial cushion against potential budgetary pressures and supporting capex funding over the next 2 years. We expect cash reserves to gradually increase toward 20% of their operating revenue in 2015 to 16 following the increase in proceeds from the shared taxes, Josifov said. The decline in Istanbul's debt stock over the past 3 years has resulted in a drop in debt servicing costs to 11% of operating revenue in 2014 from 15% in 2012 to 13%. And Moody's expects it to decline to less than 10% in 2015 to 16. These positive factors mitigate Istanbul's exposure to growing debt servicing costs arising from a depreciating Turkish lira, given that 94% of its direct debt stock is issued in foreign currency, Moody's said. Rising operating surpluses will also support İzmir's debt servicing capacity. Although with 53% of its direct debt denominated in foreign currency, İzmir is less vulnerable to exchange rate fluctuations than Istanbul, according to the report.